Hello everyone! In this video, we are going to share about the evolution of requirement engineering. Past, present, future. Before we go to requirement engineering evolution, I am going to describe what actually requirement engineering is. Requirement engineering is the process of establishing the services that the customer requires from a system and the constraints under which it operates and is developed in. So basically, requirement engineering is the process of setting up the needs of stakeholders that are to be solved by software. These are the areas and activities of requirement engineering. However, nowadays requirement engineering are more focused on its four core activities: elicitation, documentation, validation and negotiation, and management. And now that you know what requirement engineering is, now we are going to go to the evolution of requirement engineering. The evolution in requirement engineering happens in the four core activities. These four main activities keep on evolving with the help experience to become more reliable.
In the past, it was often that requirement engineering method assumed that requirement engineering was performed for a specific customer who could sign off a requirement specification. In 1960s, the key topics of developing a software is to focus on coding. In 1970s, the key topics of developing a software is to focus on design. In 1980s, the key of topic of developing software is to focus on specification, and in 1990s, developer realized that requirement is really important to develop a good software. The purpose of requirement engineering: to gain a deep understanding of the problem to be solved, to gain a deep understanding of customer and user needs, to decide what to build and develop, to make critical decisions that can be expensive to change later, and the last, to avoid useless rework. In the past, the elicitation process was limited because there were no tools to gather information about the requirement, and online interviews and online researches were not an option as there was no reliable internet. In the past, the elicitation process done by gaining physical or manual information gathering, such as brainstorming, live interviews, questionnaire, and physical document reviews that usually consume a lot of cost. However, as time passed by, requirement engineering tends to improve.
Requirement engineering in present. Nowadays, requirement engineering is more flexible to use. It uses the practice of combining the past engineering approach and agile approach. Agile approach practices on very light documentation of requirements, oral communication and prototyping, and role of past requirement engineering is hidden. While engineering approach practices on focus on critical requirements, well-defined and well-managed requirements, and role of requirement engineering is important. The role of requirement engineering in the present is very essential as it ice breaks the silence between the clients and the developers. And it also helps requirement engineers to recognize the client's wants and needs. In order to support activities of requirement engineering become more flexible and efficient, there are many tools, also known as automated tools, to enhance each stages of requirement engineering activities, such as Acompa for management tool, F&Co PEP for requirement management features with test management and bug tracking, Axio RP for document and communicate your designs, Blueprint for collaborative requirements definition and management with support for the entire requirements lifecycle, Bright Green Project for captures and management of requirements, risks, issues, and requests, notes and actions on IT implementation.
I will be focusing on the future of requirement engineering. It is important for us as developers to understand the customer needs deeply, as it is the core of requirement engineering and adds fundamental importance to the value of creation. Requirement engineering can be the driver of innovation and ideas as customers and user needs, business and market knowledge, domain knowledge, and technology knowledge can come together and create ideas that can be new solutions and concepts of features. So instead of listening to just the customers, we can collaborate all the factors and come up with better ideas. In the future, requirement engineering can also play an important part in service development. In other words, to compete effectively in the software business, software companies have to become service companies. We need to be able to provide our customers with finest service so that they feel comfortable enough to come again. Requirement engineering can help us gather those ideas and help us to come up with explicit ways to serve our clients. Another future impact of requirement engineering is that companies can gain competitive advantage by combining requirement engineering and service design. Service design is a form of conceptual design, which involves the activity of planning and organizing people, infrastructure, community, and material components of a service in order to improve its quality and the interaction between service provider and customers.